You're the expert here in the DeFi space, and global financial markets will be fully tokenized. ETF, great rapper, RWA, completely underused. Now, one bank, one intermediary who has a lot of power, FX markets, massive usage if for consumer purposes, is going to take over the credit card companies.
How would you see tokenization playing around for Wall Street in the upcoming 5-10 years? Any predictions? Now moving all the way to tokenization, which I feel like ETFs are kind of, but still we're not getting full exposure. But explain to us, what is tokenization, why you think it's interesting, and how will it affect traditional finance? Why people on Wall Street, be it an analyst who just joined or MD who's going to retire, why you think they should take a look? They are definitely taking a look. Yeah, please go ahead.
I should be asking you this question because you're the expert here. But I do. So we do a lot on tokenization at our company. We've got, we've been in the token space for years now, including the DeFi space. And there's so much to unpack here. I'll give you some predictions, and then I'll work backwards why I think those outcomes will occur and how we get there. I think the global financial markets will be fully tokenized at some point. Will it be 5 years, 10 years? No. 20, 30, I don't know, but at some point it will be fully tokenized is my view. And I want to hear your view too. I think that, I think when I think of there's tokenization benefits in other aspects of the world. I'm only going to focus on financial services for now, but we should do another podcast on other stuff. But I think, I know you're writing that down, but I think in financial services, I view tokenization as a game changer in many areas, but I think of one right now is settlement. I think settlement is the biggest bottleneck in TradFi. The idea that, I know it's, T+1, T+2, whatever it is, there's still a lot of paper and a lot of just things being passed from one place to another, and a lot of spreadsheets keeping track of it, and a lot of just really manual processes that it's not gonna last. So I view tokenization as total game changer for settlement, in some fashion, clearing, settlement, whatever you want to call it in financial services. And then I think I think the second aspect of that tokenization that I really am interested in is in financial services, TradFi, we could talk DeFi too, but in TradFi is as a wrapper, right? We talked about the ETF, great wrapper. Tokenization is an amazing wrapper for RWA, and RWA could be anything. It could be a fund, could be the lamp I have in my room, whatever it is, doesn't matter. So that's how I think about tokenization in TradFi, and then we're doing some tokenization in DeFi, which is really cool. But I think it's the future. That's what got me into crypto.
Yeah, just to follow up on that, I 100% agree. It's not going to happen tomorrow, not in 5 years, but every single aspect in financial services, be it a financial instrument or the underlying infrastructure, is going to be tokenized, which is technically what a blockchain is about, right? Blockchain, DeFi is amazing, but also blockchain is a technology, it's a data structure. So from that perspective, I believe in the upcoming 10, 15 years, we're going to see a huge migration of financial services to tokenize on the blockchain itself. It's definitely the killer solution with the upcoming 15 years is clearing and settlement. This is done deal. Everybody mathematically proven. It makes a lot of sense, and also within different counterparties, this is what they want. But also living in the US, we don't see this pain point. But living abroad, also tokenization give access to the people who don't have access to financial services, right? If you are in Nigeria or in the Middle East or in Europe and you want to invest in US financial instrument, it is possible, but I believe with tokenization, we'll have the true meaning of open access. But I believe within the lowest hanging fruits today, everybody will say US treasuries and real estate. I will say no. It's mostly stable coins, the crypto dollar. I believe it's the earliest killer application today. There's a huge use cases. and it's underutilized. I'm not saying being a stablecoin issuer, but like putting the stablecoin into real applications where you're solving real problems without the parties knowing that they are using stablecoin. This is the real value of tokenized dollar. Because many countries, we don't see it in the US because US settlement and fintech, they already offered a lot of interesting solutions. You have Wise, you have Venmo, you have Zelle. So we have kind of instant payment rails. But when it comes to if you want to send your relatives, your beloved one, like let's say they are in Russia or they are in Australia or they are in Europe, you want to send like a single dollar, it will take like ages.
Yeah,
So
yeah. No, it's a great point. You made a lot of great point. I totally agree on stable coins. I think that's a
yeah,
total game changer. It's completely underused now. I mean,
yeah,
I still think tokenization in crypto has a UI and UX problem.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, I think once you solve the user experience, I think things are going to get a lot better. It's still really technical, and I view like
yeah,
the next 5 years as totally solving that.
yeah,
100%
exactly.
for retail.
One of the most interesting applications is Opera. Like I know that nobody ever heard of for the last 10 years, but Opera, like the search engine, they are embedding. They call that MiniPay. They are embedding stable coins payment within their as like a widget, which I believe it's amazing.
It's awesome.
Uh,
That's really cool.
yeah,
You mentioned emerging. You mentioned countries that have
yeah,
geopolitical issues, have issues with their local, national currency being debased. I mean that was that use case I saw really. I remember when Ukraine war started. I was advising on some a bunch of crypto projects and a bunch of on sanctions issues too. And I just
yeah,
remember hearing people fleeing not just with cash but with crypto, with Bitcoin. And the same, I actually read an article about it was in New York Times Magazine maybe a week or two ago about a Russian soldier who fled and deserted and converted all of his assets to Bitcoin. And crypto ultimately is the ultimate equalizer when it comes to freedom and freedom of movement. And that's how I try to explain it to my parents or to older people. And they're like, "What is this? I don't understand it." I said, you know what? At the end of the day, crypto and blockchain generally, I think does two things. It changes incentives for
yeah.
processing transactions,
How-
right? Instead of just one bank, one intermediary who has a lot of power, it spreads the power out over millions of computers. Maybe, who knows, maybe more at some point. And then, by changing the incentives, by changing the intermediary, um, in my view, it expands freedom. So those two things are my kind of like core theses, which really aligns with what you were getting at.
Yeah, 100% super bullish on that, to be honest. How would you see from more like on portfolio management stuff like tokenization playing around for like Wall Street in the upcoming 5-10 years? Any predictions like immediate use cases, even like just portfolio adoption? Are we going to see any new digital assets? Well, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think short term, we've seen some tokenized FX
Yep.
pools. They're permissioned pools, but that's a game changer. I mean, FX market's massive. I mean, the idea you could tokenize it and have instant settlement would be huge. We talked about tokenized stablecoins, particularly. I think yield bearing stablecoins, which
Oh,
essentially would
yeah.
be a money market
Yeah.
fund, total game changer. You know I think stablecoin usage for consumer purposes is going to take over the credit card companies for many payments. Like it might not, I think credit will always exist in some form. It might not be like the Visa network or MasterCard, but for small dollar payments, there's no reason to pay 2 or 3% to the bodega to buy a bottle of water or candy bar. Like it's crazy. So I think stablecoins are going to go nuts soon. Uh, for consumers, so much going on. I have these debates with family members all the time, and they're like, yeah, what you're saying could happen, but it hasn't happened yet. So what do I care about it? I said, you got to stop looking like you got to stop focusing on why haven't we gotten to that point yet, and look more to like when will we get there, and how, what the impact will be when we do. I'm sure you have these debates as well with people that are like, that don't get it, and don't worry about the issues now. It's we are internet late 90s. Like, focus on where we're going to be in 20 years.